Okay, so after purchasing some tester, this is tester brass paint that I use, an enamel paint that I use for the engine faces, for the engine piping. It came out quite well, I think. Very neatly detailed, very well highlighted there on some of the electrical wiring, protection pipes, I guess, water pipes, I believe. I was trying to find copper, but copper paint, but that just wasn't feasible. But I'm pretty happy with the results. There might be just one or two little things I need to touch up on, but that's gonna be it for this engine phase. I'm gonna go ahead and install this onto the CL15. But now the next thing I'm gonna be doing involves chopping up a bit of the fuselage. Now, I had the idea of actually getting a razor saw and using this guy up here, cutting away a bit of the fuselage so that way I can show the interior. I don't think a lot of people know what the interior of a Super Scooper looks like. So I'm going to be cutting up both sides, just right along the ribbing pretty much, and displaying it. I'm going to do just half of it. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I think it'll be okay if I just do half, and that way I can keep half of the airplane pretty much intact. So that's our next step. We're going to be using these very, very flimsy, my gosh, very flimsy razor saws. I've never used them before. This is Ask razor saw, in case you're wondering what they are. They are 70 by 70 teeth razor saws. I'm going to be wearing gloves while sawing out portions of the fuselage. So that's the next thing we're going to be doing. So hopefully that works out. It's going to be my first time ever doing this, and it is going to be a needed thing for another part I'm going to be doing in relationship to other aircraft that I want to hack and saw and actually rebuild in a sense. One last thing before we get started on that. As you can see, this is the interior of the CL15. These guys right here are your water tanks that I painted out. And I basically used this paint that I've had. It's an AK product. It's a sand yellow, AK 11035 sand yellow. And I liked it. It came out very nice, especially when I installed it onto the fuselage. It gives it a nice contrast, which I think it will be very suitable when I actually cut this out. And you'll be able to actually see it. The floorboard, unfortunately, was okay. I'm not too impressed. I need to find a way to dilute model colors. Vallejo model color, in this case it's white, 70951. But it brushed on okay. I probably need to thin it a bit because you could still see some of the brush strokes on there, which doesn't look that great. But, we'll kind of have to deal with it. I did paint part of the bulkhead up here. I'm going to be attaching a few things along the bulkhead, so I'll hide those little dots, those places where I was drilling in mistakenly, thinking this thing was reversed. This thing was on the cockpit side. The cockpit was primed, just a regular primer. I think it was just a Mr. Surfacer primer. I'm satisfied with that color. I'm not going to do anything with that other than paint a few other things. But that's going to be it for the interior. So let's get sawing. All right, so let's go ahead and chop this fuselage out. I'm going to go ahead and start on the cutting away. Oops, didn't see that one part. Cutting away of this portion of the fuselage. And again, I'm only going to do just half of it. I'm not going to do the whole thing. So this is the part that I decided what I wanted to do, which now I'm thinking about it. Maybe I should not do this part because the door is on that side. There are two doors of entry onto the CL15, this forward door. Let's just turn it around. The forward door up here and the aft door in the back. And again, the reason why I'm cutting this is so that way I can show people what this thing actually looks like. I thought seriously that when this Super Scooper landed into the body of water, I know there were doors underneath. That I did know. And you can see the door right over here where my finger is. Okay, I got that. And it is a seaplane. There are floats on either side of that wing that comes across perpendicular to the fuselage. But I thought it filled up the whole plane. And I didn't even see these windows that were there. And I kind of would make sense that you do not want to fill this whole plane full of water because it'd just be too bloody heavy to get off the ground. But I didn't know what the tanks looked like. So that's the reason why I'm showing the display. So that's one half. I'm going to go and start cutting up the other one. So as I was cutting and just test fitting the airplane's fuselage, just a couple things. First of all, it does need to get a good grip on the forward part of the fuselage, especially towards the nose. The nose is very, very fragile. Just be careful when you're trying to glue that thing together that you don't press too hard. The riveting detail on the plane is quite exquisite. I have to say, that's pretty good for a Heller kit. Didn't expect that. So be very careful while trimming off the sprue trees. You don't want to cut into the detail that's there. You might, but just be aware of that. Other than that, it looks really good. I kind of like that. So just be aware of that. Now, I haven't attached the interior part to see how that all fits in there. So let's take a look at that. And this thing's going to lay out right here. I do want to point out that the fuselage, the tanks themselves, do meet up to this box. Not this one, this guy right here. Because that's actually the exit port as the water fills up in these tanks that I'm gripping right now, one of the two. As the water's filling up on those tanks, it's got to go somewhere. It's got to exit somewhere as it's filling up. So there are these portholes that you can see over here on the side where the water actually dumps out. And I've actually seen video of that actually happening. So just FYI about how this fuselage should be installed. So right about there roughly. And I do also want to mention that even though the kit is pretty old, it does have a lot of good detail on there. The ribbings of the fuselage, the rivets are really nicely put together. So we're going to start sawing in just a minute. I just want to test fit this to see what this guy kind of looks like. Just very briefly. Okay. And I'm going to come by and put that together in just a moment. All right, so after fussing with the floorboard there, it does fit in there quite nicely. The aft end should be easy to do. Just go ahead and clamp it down. Whoops. Clamp it down. That should be fine. It's just a forward part of the plane, the top ventral side, dorsal side, the ventral side, that probably needs to be taped down, especially that nose part when you're gluing that together. Because the way this thing was manufactured, molded, it's just a flat piece. As you can see, it's very nicely teardropped in shape. So you're going to have a little bit of a difficult time getting this thing together, clamping it down. So just FYI about that. So let's go and start on the cutting. Again, I'm going to go ahead and I was going to cut the left side of the aircraft, but now that I see those doors there, I'm going to go ahead and actually cut out the right side. of the aircraft. All right, so where am I going to start cutting? Just to give you an idea, looking at the ribs, I haven't yet decided if where on the forward portion I should cut, but on the back portion, I'm just going to cut just one frame over of the window. Here's the frame right here by the window here, right where the paintbrush is. The next frame over, I'm going to cut just inside of that frame there, and just go all the way down to the floorboard and cut all the way across. Now, as far as the forward section, I kind of want to keep a little bit of structural rigidity here, so I might actually cut it just forward of this frame that I'm pointing to. This guy right here, forward part of the window. That's the idea. So I'm going to cut along that frame and then going all the way down to the floorboard. All the way down. So it fits really well. If I could just cut just underneath those ribs along here. And again, just this side right here. And then probably just forward of that frame. And that should be it. So let's get started. So real quick update. It's been moving along just very quickly. This side by the frame seems to be cutting quite well. In fact, I'm able to actually bring the whole blade down just before that rib, forward of that rib. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's taking a bit of time. But this other portion right here, that's a little harder. You have to like get this blade. And the good thing was is that this blade is kind of curved a little bit on the edge there. Okay. And I'm able to actually get that right inside that fuselage and yikes, make my cut. And it is my first time doing this, so it might not come out all too well. I've been using my magnifiers to get up close to see what I'm doing. And then I have to flip this guy around to actually get the other side. And my fingers are in the way, but you get the idea. Just cut along that rib down this way. The hard part, as I figured it would be, is that floorboard. I don't have too much clearance here. It's kind of difficult for me to hold. I didn't buy that extra handle. I thought it was just like it will snap off this thing, but just moving it back and forth. I did make a bit of a groove on there for this razor saw to actually get a grip inside there. So it's going to take a bit of time, but it's coming along. All right, so here we go with final cuts and showing this off. And yeah, the razor saw was most excellent. Sure, there were some pieces that might have been cut off a bit, but what I wanted to do is just right, I think. I think that will work just fine. Okay. Now, it did cut a little bit into the frame down at the floor, but I think when the floor is attached, oops, excuse me, I think that part's going to be pretty well hidden. And I saved the door on the other side. So yeah, I'm going to try to trace that door out on this forward window here that I'm pointing to. Try to draw that door out so that way you can see where a door will actually open up. But there is a bench that's fit along here. There's some small accessories I can add. And there's even a strange panel. It's strange, but just a little bit of a paneling up on top of the roof there, where the shadow is, where I'm pointing towards. So what I wanted to do seems to be pretty good. The only thing I need to do now is to actually glue on, attach some outriggers. So that way this thing does sit down nicely onto the rest of the fuselage. So, yahoo! I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and test fit it, see how it looks. All right, so let's see how it looks, and here we go. This is the floorboard being attached onto the fuselage. I didn't actually attach it per se. I just taped it down underneath there just to give me an idea of what it looks like. But as you can see, it's pretty flush up against the floorboard of the CL-15. And the only thing I'm going to need to do is attach some outriggers, probably like an outrigger here, probably another one over here, just to give this piece a bit of, bit of a brace. So that way it comes along this way, more or less. Okay, and that was the whole idea. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I did sand down just slightly, not too much, just a little bit of the edges on the outer portion. So the next thing we're going to do is going to go ahead and prime this thing and paint it down. Okay, so that's the next step, is to come by and get that all taken care of. So just a little bit of an edge. I think that's acceptable for what I wanted to do, and remove that part and actually see it. So let's see what it looks like with both halves. All right, so with both halves on, there you go. Okay, shows the tanks, the water filled up tanks that I want to show off. I'll really take that down there. And that was the whole purpose, is to show people, what this thing looks like. What does it look like inside? Okay, and there is a bit of an interior. There is another door on the other side. I'm not going to remove that door. But yeah, I think it will dress up quite nicely. I'm going to doll this thing up, make it look really good. Okay, so that's the fuselage cut. I'm going to call it that, the fuselage cut. The cutaway, fuselage cutaway, to show the interior. Okay, hope you like that. All right, so for today, just a few improvements, enhancements that I've been doing on the CL-15. Firstly, as far as the floorboard, nothing too major, except for more or less a hand-painted job on those tanks that we have here. I've been looking at some images of the water tanks that get filled up, and they had this unique pattern reinforcement bands on what I would assume are these fiberglass tanks that are on either side. So I did that one using Tamiya's colors, the XF78, a wood tan that we have here, and the darker XF49, a khaki color. How did I do those rings on there? I had this piece of plastic that I've already cut down for another purpose, but it was like something similar to those brush covers that you get on your paintbrushes to protect them from being too frayed. And I just dabbed the tip of that brush cover into the paint and just slightly pressed it onto those tanks to give it that circular color. Other than that, other enhancements that I've made, first of all, the seats. As you can see on the seats, I did attach what looks like seat belts on there. Let me see if I could get a little better, closer image of that. And as you can see on there, I put on these belts on this very weathered seat that we have on here. And the colors I used for that one were various different colors that we have. Again, Tamiya, not promoting Tamiya, but they're a good color. This XF67, which I had a lot left over from a tank belt that I had, this natal green. And then I highlighted it with this XF14, this JA, Japanese Army Gray, XF14. As for the belts themselves, well, I used this Molaire dark gray blue. This is 71.054. And an old favorite of mine, this tester, old silver. The silver that I've had for many, many years. It's been great for putting on silver details, highlights, whatnot. A pretty useful product, but it is an enamel. So just to let you know, you need to get a thinner base for that. The seat belts themselves, the buckles that you see there, well, those guys came from a spare striker photo etch. And as you can see, I used several of these guys for their buckles that I've had, and basically, use those guys. I said, you know what, I think I can use that to pretty much improve the seating arrangement. You don't want to be flying around on that plane, diving in and out. And a couple of other things I want to add on. This duffel bag that I highlighted, painting it using the same colors as the bench chairs, and this other part that came from a ship that I'm going to try to use as a bulkhead or something or other. So that might be pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and move on with the plane, and hopefully get this thing partially finished in the sense of the fuselage, maybe starting on the wings today, and get that painted up. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about very quickly about the cockpit, since we're moving along now, and the landing gear and wheels. Firstly, the cockpit is pretty simplistic, nothing major to worry about, but I did add a few details. Hopefully you can see on there some levers, some throttles, little added in photo edge parts on there. Let's bring this light over here a little bit better. Maybe not be too bright, but as you can see, it came out pretty good for lack of any decals. As far as the landing gear, well, that's a little bit fiddly, especially the main gear being so fragile and a little bit hard to deal with, especially with this spar that's right here. That spar was difficult to actually attach, and the other gear plates, wheel gear covers and such. So what I did was I came by and I got the fuselage. I used some white glue, some regular Elmer's glue on some of the attachment points, including over here at this one joint here. And I was just able to fit those guys on there with the white glue. Once the white glue has pretty much set, I was able to use crazy glue to attach that on there. And once I attached that, then I zapped it with the Alclad black primer, the microfiller ALC 309, and then shot it about an hour later with the Alclad aluminum ALC 101. A really great looking color. As you can see, it comes out, whoops, hang on there. It comes out very nicely on the gear. A nice color, not silver, but a good silver color for what I need to simulate for the aluminum color on the landing gear. This part right up here at the top, it's going to be painted in the yellow. I believe it's going to be that yellow color. I don't think it's going to be the red. As far as the wheels, well, I sprayed the wheels the same way, and using the Alclad primer and the Alclad aluminum paint, painting the hubs, the aluminum, and the tire itself. I do not have like a tire black, a flat black, or any other kind of black. So what I do have is some spare MIG ammo NATO black. And it's a MIG 0278. And that looks pretty damn good. I have to admit, it came out very nice. It's got that nice flattened color. It is black. And a little bit of a grayish tone to it. I don't think it was due to the aluminum that I sprayed onto the hubs. I sprayed the hubs first, and then I just paintbrushed that flat black, that nail black on there. And it came out quite nice, as well as the nose gear. Nose gear is already attached. Come here, you. Nose gear is already attached with the nose wheels on there as well. And again, I like that color. That color comes out really good. So all I'm going to do now next is to paint at least this part, that red color. But I'll prime it first, and then I'll paint it in just a moment. So that's the next thing that we're going to do, is finish up that cockpit, show you the results basically, and then onto the wings and tail sections of the plane. Prime it, and then go ahead and start painting. Now, the only thing that I'm missing though, unfortunately, is the actual decals for what I want to do. There's a set of decals that come with the kit. I believe it's for the French firefighting CL-215s that they have there in their inventory from way back when, in the, I think in the late 80s, 90s. So I don't think that decal set will actually work for what I want to do. But we'll worry about that when the day comes. Right now, it's just finishing this off and painting this thing down. You can see the canopy sprayed in a Tamiya. I think it's X4. It's a gloss lemon yellow. Looks appropriate. But more importantly, I came by and was able to mask using Tamiya tape, that yellow tape that you've seen. And I underlined it with blue masking tape, blue painter tape. All right, so I'm going to use my bigger glasses so I can see what I'm doing. The blue that you see there is just the blue tape, so don't worry about that. Not too bad. Let's see what it looks like. The whole thing removed here. Whoops. Voila. Pretty good. I think I did a good job on that. And on the underside, a good primer coat. Very good, very good. I'm pretty pleased. I'm very pleased. Not pretty pleased. I am pleased. Very good. As far as the rest of the plane, I already primed wings, horizontal, vertical tails. Going to go ahead and do the floats pretty soon, and hopefully I'll be able to spray paint this guy yellow tonight. Okay, so that's the whole thing. All right. So with the model complete, I'm going to go ahead and show you the Heller 172nd CL-215, the Super Scooper. Model that I want to dedicate to the LA fighter fighters that helped us out on the Palisades fire, Eaton fire, and the other fires around in Southern California. As you can see, I do have an interior. Still working on it. You can see the water tanks in the background. A very highly detailed engine that you can see. The props, strangely enough, they do rotate on this kit. Cockpit also is removable. Gonna work on that a little bit so the chairs and that actually glued on. But the instrument panel looks pretty good with the photo edge details, handles, switches. I think it's the interior that really shows off. Landing gear was a bit fidgety, kind of fragile, but it does work. Like I said, this model is nearly complete. I would say about 92% complete. Pontoons there. Very large tail. You do have to weight the nose in. Otherwise this thing's going to be off its tricycle. So that's the CL215 Super Scooper from Quebec that helped us out. I'm going to try to make those decals for the plane that was flying over here in SoCal in 2025. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies, for helping us out, for saving our communities. I know you did your best. I am totally grateful beyond words. And I wish you a healthy life, and keep on working. Thank you very much. This is Hamo Production.